Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Racing with the Reverend. I am Reverend Bogey. Today we are at Kyalami in the touring cars, and I'm driving the Audi today, the RS3. We're starting third, and we get off to a pretty good start here. Getting up next to Dre, we're going 3 wide. We don't quite have enough speed to get around Dre, although I wish I did in his Astra. We brake early so we don't get in a kerfuffle, and we get into a kerfuffle. Unfortunately, I swapped Marcus on that. Sorry about that, Marcus. Not my fault. So, dude, if you see this, I got hit from behind, and that kind of forced me into you. I was not trying to do anything stupid in there, so I apologize, but it really wasn't my fault. Okay, so now we have a ton of work to do. Yay! But this is Kyalami. I really love racing on this track. It has a great flow. Get a lot of good speed on it. You have to kind of watch yourself at the edges there. Because some of this curbing is not really curbing, and it will yeet you off the track. Yeet is what the kids say today, I believe. So, but we've gained quickly on Apple Pie Jr. We're going to try and go up the inside. He forces us over, and now we force ourselves in because anger. And we're going to get a penalty, I think. Yeah, half a second. We get around Marcus. It looks like he got ran off the track again. So he's having a rough start too. Sorry, buddy. You know, I broke a little early there too. This is a smaller lobby. There's only 12 drivers, and we got plenty of time. It's a 10-lap race. We're running this on softs. Oh, what a move on that guy, on Target Man. Oh, on Target Man. I get it. Ha! Okay. I got it. But I made a good move there into the final hairpin as we finish lap 1, and we're heading down toward turn 1 for lap 2. And we are gaining on Selchuk. On Target Man outbroke himself, and looks like he hit us coming out of ghosting. Or no, that's Marcus. So Marcus got into the back of us. That's all right. I think he's probably still angry about some things. And he should be, as on Target Man just ran him off again. Poor Marcus. He's having a tough time of it. We're getting over on Selchuk here. Picking up on him ever so slowly. Again, taking our time. You know, we'll get the soft tires to go 5 laps. So we don't have to really push anything. I don't know if anybody's trying to do the full race on hards. I hope not. Those hards are going to be awful by the end of the race, but these softs will definitely go 5 laps. So Marcus again is getting whacked around. Selchuk misses his braking point and then slams on us on exit. Thanks, buddy. But we do have a little bit of a cushion on Selchuk as we head into the last few turns of the lap. And we take a little defensive line in, so that keeps him behind us. And it looks like Marcus is ganging on fast. Apple Pie just picked up a penalty, but he's way in the back. And Selchuk just went off, so he gets a half a second for cutting the track. And we've got half a second for the collision we had on lap 2. And now Marcus is apologizing to somebody, so he's just not really having any fun at all. Poor Marcus. Lap 3, and we are in 4th place. So we did, we have lost 1 position, but considering that we got knocked all the way to last, and we've already made up 8 positions in less than 2 laps, I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, so the Audi was considered one of the metas. I was actually looking at my old tunes from when I first started driving on here, and wow, this thing had a ton of horsepower in it, and I had no idea. They definitely did the right thing by taking some power out of it. It's still fairly well balanced. I do have a slight turn toward the oversteer side so I can keep the back end in line with the front. Obviously, you're never going to get balanced wear between the fronts and the rears, but you want to get as close as you can. You want to have enough rear grip to help you through and take some of this oversteer away. And obviously, you want to have enough front grip to get you through the corners without slamming into a wall and pushing into it, because, you know, pushing is bad. So we don't want to be bad, we want to be good. We want to be a good driver, although sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's really hard to be good. So we're heading into our last couple of corners again on lap 3. Again, we haven't run a clean lap yet, so I'm hoping to get one this time as we get through our 3rd lap. Frankie's and Dre are fighting for the lead. They are way out in front of us. You'll see why when we get to the lap times at the end. These guys were running ungodly lap times, and I don't know how they were running them. I've never seen lap times out of a touring car like these on this track. So you'll see them in a little while. Like I always do, I always see the first part, and then you know, I see the first part, I put in the brakes for the any pit stops, and then I see the finish, so I can cut and fade out on that. So other than that, I don't know what's going on. So we're still in 4th place on lap 4. We are not gaining on Womble at all. But it looks like we've got our clean lap on the last lap at 1:54.4, and we are ahead of pace on that, but we are losing time to Womble and, of course, to Dre and Frankie's, who, again, not worried about any of them. Now I'm just running my race at this point. So this Audi it's a fun car to drive. And of course, at the beginning, everybody was purposely wrecking them because they were so overpowered. But now they seem to be fairly well balanced. I do think the best car to drive of the touring cars is the Honda. I do like the Veloster a lot. I think the Elantra is a little too tail happy. I got to figure out how to tune that. The only touring car I won't drive is the Subaru. I just haven't driven it. We start lap 5. Our tires are close to minor wear, so we kind of figured that was coming, not a big deal. And we do have 3.2 seconds on Marcus as we head down. I want to finish up the Astra and get that up to level 50. I haven't done that yet. One car I do like driving that I don't drive enough on here is the Ford. I do like driving the Focus. And the reason why, on the wheel, I can feel it a little better, if that makes sense. You can you get this, quote, feel of the back end of the car stepping out. And I know that sounds weird, but I've driven front-wheel drive performance cars most of my life, between going all the way back to my Geostorm GSI that I bought back in 1990, up to my GTI that I had up until 2017. Yeah, 2017, because the Elantra Sport I had was 2018. But I did like my Hyundai Elantra Sport, but I wouldn't consider it on par with a GTI, or even with the Storm GSI. I did have a Ford Probe GT, Ford Probe GT for a couple years. Pit stop. So if you're enjoying the video, please give it a like. Subscribe if you want to see my other content. I do have 20, this is 26, so there's 25 other ones. And please comment down below, but let's keep it clean because there may be kids on here, and let's keep it on topic. So Dre pitted at the same time I did, so we're all on softs. I lost 4 positions in the pit stops, and Fatal Impala is in 3.5 seconds, and Apple Pie Jr. is in front of us at 2.5 seconds. Let me continue my car history story. So I bought a Geostorm GSI in 1990. I say Google it, and the reason is it's not the car you think it is. This was an Isuzu Impulse that was rebadged by GM. Oh, looks like we got some fun over here. Yep, there goes Selchuk. He's out. On Target Man took him out. So naughty On Target Man, and we're gonna have to keep our eye on him. So this was, I think that car weighed about 2,200 pounds, maybe 2,100, and it had 130 horsepower, which doesn't sound like a lot in today's numbers. And when you say, you know, it went 0 to 60 in 8.5 seconds, that's slow by today's numbers. But in 1990, for a car that cost less than $13,000, that was pretty awesome. On Target Man gets around Captain Jack. So that was pretty cool. And it handled like a skateboard. So you could throw that thing around like it was nobody's business, and it was great. It outperformed the Mazda RX-7 convertible on the G-Pad in car and driver's pad testing. So it could handle it, like pulled 0.084 or 0.086 Gs, if I remember right. But it was something. As we get around Captain Jacko in turn 1, head to 2. So that was something else. And I put 145,000 miles on that car. I had it for about 10 years. Maybe a little less than that. I think it was a little less. Yeah, it was about 10 years. And it was fun. I drove it across the country twice. Hustled that thing up a mountain as Apple Pie Jr. tries to close down on us, but we get underneath him and take that position. So now we're back in 4th place where we were when the pit stop cycle started. So that car was a ton of fun to drive. Never had problems with it except for the timing chain snapped on it, which obviously ruined the valves and the head, so that all had to be replaced. And I had to have the clutch cable replaced because the firewall on the driver's side collapsed. It was still there, but it crushed onto the clutch cable. So for about a week, I had about 1 inch of travel in my clutch, which was a lot of fun. But thankfully, I knew the guy that worked at the shop that I took it to, and he was able to fix it. But that was a fun car. I ran that thing into the ground, and when it was time for it to go, that was in 2000, I bought a 1997 Ford Probe GT that had about 60,000, 65,000 miles on it. And so if you look at the 97 Probe GT, that was the final generation of the Probe and the Mazda 626. Those were the final generations of both cars, and they were based on each other, so that's why. Mazda actually built the power unit and the transmission, and Ford put on the Probe body. But everything mechanical was Mazda. And that was a fun car to drive. That had a 2.5 liter V6 putting out about 170. It was a heavier car because now you're getting into all the safety regs. But that was a fun little car to drive. I really enjoyed that for the couple years I had it. But it did have lots of issues. And as we all know with Fords, I know as a Ford fan, I like to say first on race day, but this one was more of a fix or repair daily car. I had check engine light issues all the time. I had O2, my O2 sensor would just fry. I would take it to my friend's shop and he would keep showing me, look, this thing just keeps going. I'm like, why does it keep going? I don't know. I said, did Ford do a recall on this thing? I don't know. So eventually we got the issue solved, and it serviced me well for a couple years. And then my brother started working for Roush Industries. Yes, that Jack Roush. And he was able to get me a Ford employee discount because Roush was a supplier for Ford. And they ran Fords and Mercurys at that time in all their racing series. So I went out and I got a SVT Focus, 2003 SVT Focus, which was really cool. It was, I'm not going to say it was the first or anything like that, but it was one of the first of the lower budget cars, you know, the inexpensive hot hatches that had a 6-speed manual. The SVTs were also rare. Ford only built 5,000 of them a year. And in 2003, they added the 4-door, which is what I had. And they only built 2,500 of those. Maybe less. I think it was 2,000. I think they built 6,000 of those a year, and 2,500 of them were 4-doors. And it was black, and it had blue cloth insert seats, the 6-speed, a CD, you know, the CD player, all the stuff. But it also had a flaw. Although it was really fun to drive. Again, these cars were not fun to drive. I loved driving them. And this car was no exception, but there was a problem with the wheels, where I'm not exactly sure what would happen, but the tires would lose pressure. And since back then there was no tire pressure sensor, and these were high, you know, these were the, you know, 45s, I think 40 or 45s on the sidewalls. They were really narrow, so on the sidewall, so you couldn't really tell how low they really were. And I probably blew 3 or 4 tires on it before someone finally said, hey, and it wasn't a Ford mechanic, it was a guy that I knew that has his own shop. He said, there's an issue with the wheels, it's not recallable, but you may want to replace those and see if that changes anything. So I went out and bought 4 new wheels, not the originals, obviously, and slapped those on there, and it was great. After that, I had no problems. But once I hit 100,000 miles, I said, you know what? It's my birthday. I'm going to buy a new car. So on my birthday, I bought a 2010 GTI. And that might be my favorite car I've ever driven, period. I loved driving that car. It handled, it had quickness, it was powerful. It had enough room for me to fit in it. I'm 6'4". You know, I love having a hatch. I don't like trunks, I like a hatch. But that car was an absolute blast. But it had lots of mechanical issues that were Volkswagen issues. And they never really recalled anything. And I ended up spending about $7,000 or $8,000 on repairs over a couple years. And I'm like, I'm done with this. After the warranty expired, I'm like, I'm done. And then I got rid of it and got a Hyundai Elantra Sport. And quickly, that car was totaled in an accident the week before my wife got married. My wife and I got married. And now I've got a Hyundai Kona N 2023 N-Line. End of race. Yay. 4th place. Thanks for watching and listening to me ramble about my car history. We lost a place, but that's cool. I'm okay with that. And I'm glad y'all watched. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like and subscribe. And I hope to see you all next time. Thanks for watching.